40 years ago, in 1984, being that at the time of me recording this is the year 2024, we were blessed with the Ghostbusters. Now, there's a lot of things that stand out with this film. Granted, we got a series of films after this one, and I am not going to include that 2016 Abomination Answer the Call because, to tell you the honest God truth, somebody should have never answered that call. They should have just left that message on red, never picked up the phone, all that crap. Because that 2016 version, yeah, it does not exist in the Brown Baldy cinematic universe or the BBCU for short. But I digress. But with the Ghostbusters, like I said, a lot of things stand out with this film. For starters, you have these four regular dudes. There's nothing special about them. No superpowers. They're not part of no super team. No Avengers, no Justice League. They're not specially trained on anything. You just have these four regular guys who come together for a cause to take on the supernatural. Like I said, no special training. They just use what they got to get the job done and make New York City and the world a better place. And that's what makes these characters so relatable to average, everyday people, such as myself and ourselves. We don't have any superpowers. We're regular people. But when duty calls, we see what needs to be done and we handle that job right then and there. Minus us fighting ghosts because, that's just in this movie. Another thing that stands out, as well as the characters too. A lot of people will look at a movie like this and go, well, look at the special effects and CGI. Well, the same thing that I said when I talked about the original Incredible Hulk television series and its TV movies. CGI and special effects do not tell the story. It's the characters that tell the story. Again, these four regular guys. This movie is character driven. They carry this movie on their backs. Again, going back to the relatability part that I just talked about. Another thing, the movie is called a horror comedy. Nothing horrifying or terrifying about it. But the comedy is there. You can see it. But you take away that comedy, you have great storytelling. I'm a big fan on storytelling. And then when you see in this movie that the apartment building that Sigourney Weaver's character Dana was staying in was built as a temple for the main villain of the film, Gozer, the Gozerian, to come into our world and bring upon the apocalypse, you're going, wow, that's some very heavy stuff. That was very good writing on Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman's part right there. Blending in a good story. These four guys trying to stop the apocalypse, even though this is a ghost film, there's also a comedy film as well. That's good stuff. Now, other things that a lot of people don't know about is that Eddie Murphy was going to play the role of Winston Steadmore before Ernie Hudson got it. But he went on to do Beverly Hills Cop, and like they say, the rest is history with that. Also, the role of Dr. Peter Venkman was originally written for John Belushi. But unfortunately, John Belushi died of a drug overdose at the age of 33 before this film was even, written on paper at the time. But yeah, Ghostbusters still holds up to this day. Oh, and another thing while it was on my mind. Before we got Ghostbusters Afterlife back in, 2021? Beforehand, there was a Ghostbusters video game that came out on the Nintendo Wii back in 2009. And had there been a third film written, that game itself would have been Ghostbusters 3. And I ain't gonna lie to you. Honestly, I really wish the band would have gotten back together before, Harold Ramis's, untimely passing. I really wish that we could have got the original four back together again to, tell us that they still ain't afraid of no ghosts. And another thing that also makes this movie and this series stand out is that awesome theme song by Ray Parker Jr. And the tagline, When he says, busting makes me feel good, well, let's just say that every man walking God's green earth can relate to that. Just my thoughts, just my opinion, and as always, just saying.